Prasad from Bowling Divisions of Pidilite Industries Limited, and my co-presenter is Jose Ballester Ortiz, who is from Grupo Spain and also goes by a smaller short name, which is easy to remember, Pepe. So from now onwards, we're just going to call him Pepe. We are going to be talking about EIFS, an energy efficient architectural facade solution. And at the outset, let me say that we are extremely grateful and appreciate the opportunity given to us to present this topic to the august audience of industry stalwarts and experts and industry participants. Thank you. Just to start with a brief background of Pidilite Group Puma Manufacturing Limited, it's a JV between Pidilite Industries Limited and Grupo Puma Spain, uh, which is going to start or in a limited way has started this operation in India already. And we are coming up with manufacturing facilities and state of the art R&D facilities, support systems, foreign expertise to support the business in the segment of technical motors in India. To give a bit of background of Pidilite, Pidilite has been manufacturers of high quality products and is catering has been catering for many years to for to a small applicator who might be doing a very small plastering job with 10 or 15 bags of cement to very very high-end and complex projects like tunneling and metros and multi-story large developments. Uh, Also, we have state-of-the-art R&D facilities, in-house execution capabilities, which rests with our partners and with our JVs, Nina Patsep, CP, and we have the capability to service across all states. I believe that now we have even capability to service villages which are around having around 5,000 odd population, and also internationally we are having a sizable presence in Middle East and South Africa. Talking about our partners, Group Puma Spain, they are a market leader in Spain in the field of technical motors, and they have very high-end expertise in restoration of old architectural monuments, and they have more than 20 manufacturing facilities in Spain. They have a presence in many European countries, have manufacturing facilities in Algeria, Morocco, Costa Rica, Portugal, and France. Also, they are trying to make headways and are reasonably successful in Middle East, Latin America, and South Africa. I am going to be the agenda, or I am going to be talking about a bit about energy consumption patterns in India, energy efficiency initiatives, ECBC 2017 guidelines, and Pidilite solutions for ECBC compliance for both roof and walls. And the main agenda for today is a detailed presentation on EIFS, which will be done by Pepe. Energy consumption in India. Present energy consumption in India is 12 gigawatt hour per annum, which is expected to rise to 13.5 gigawatt hour by 2030, which roughly is about 12% more. Almost 65% of the energy generated in India is by thermal power plants, with obvious high production cost and more environmental damage by CO2 emissions. Major contributors for energy consumptions are industries at 42%, buildings 33%, agriculture 17%, and others 8%. Building sector contribution is 33% to the total and is expected to rise at 4% CAGR and reach 55% of total contribution by 2045. Industries 42%, buildings 33%, agriculture 17%, others 8%. In the commercial building segment, the large consumption is in the area of HVAC, which is 55%, lighting, which is 25%, internal load 15%, and others is 5%. Uh, Energy efficiency initiatives taken by government and private sector. Uh, as all of us know, the present government especially is focused on energy savings and on environment, and has made pronouncement and commitments nationally as well as internationally, and has taken a leadership positions for CO2 emission reductions internationally. India has committed to reduce the emission intensity of the economy by 33% by 2030 from 2005 level. There are multiple initiatives, but what we just going to briefly talk about is ECBC. So, for energy use optimization, Energy Conservation Building Code (ECBC) had been framed in 2007 and revised in 2017 by Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which basically makes it more stringent, has more focus on the infrastructure for the implementation of ECBC guidelines, and also certain standards and processes for monitoring the progress and implementation of the ECBC code. Hypothetically, if ECBC was implemented in 2007, savings would have been 4.3 billion electricity units and 30 million metric ton reduction of CO2 emissions. ECBC 2017, the primary objective is to provide minimum requirements for the energy efficient design and construction of buildings. The scope is for both the commercial building as well as residential building. Right now, it has been made mandatory for commercial buildings which have a connected load of 100 kilowatt or greater, or a contract demand of 120 kVA. Whereas for residential buildings, the ECBCR has been introduced, but has not been made mandatory, and but it is likely to become mandatory in the near future. There are three levels of compliance: ECBC Basic, ECBC Plus, and Super ECBC. Basic level compliance is being made mandatory, and ECBC Basic should give an energy saving of 25% to when compared to a typical building. ECBC Plus should give 35% energy saving when compared to a typical building, and Super ECBC should give 50%. Now, there are two methods of achieving ECBC compliance. The first one is whole building performance method, and the second one is prescriptive method. In whole building performance method, basically it has been left to the project owner to decide on how to configure the projects and the various elements to achieve the basic compliance mandated by ECBC, and guarantee an energy saving of 25% minimum over a typical building, which has to be attested by energy simulation software approved by B. So here the prerogative and lies with the project owner to do what he finds more convenient and more feasible for them. Whereas in prescriptive method, uh, uh, there already exist standard and specifications for various elements of the buildings, which a project owner has to meet to comply to the ECBC basic standards. Say, for example, for the building envelope, for the roof as well as for the terrace, there are certain U values defined which a project owner has to meet to take the ECBC compliance. Now, as Pidilite, we prefer and recommend prescriptive method over whole building performance methods, because mainly we feel that this is much easier to comply with, because the values are are already given. They are easy to achieve. They can be achieved uh, by by the simple process, by the materials which are already available in the markets. Also, because it is already specified, the absolute value are specified, then it is easy to implement it and measure how much value has been we have got. And especially this is very good way to achieve compliance in case of retrofit building, where the project owner doesn't actually have to make any changes to the structure of the building. They can just put it on the facade and on the roof and achieve the basic compliance. So by prescriptive method, depending on the area and what a zone the project falls into, has specified certain U values for roofs as well as for walls, which are given here. So there are basically five climatic zones: composite, hot and dry, warm and humid, temperate, cold, and different type of buildings, and they are already prescribed. So I believe Karnataka is the only state where all five climatic zone could be found. Now, Pidilite offers solutions both for wall as well as for roof for meeting ECBC compliance. So, for the roof, we have a low energy consumption systems which we offer for the roof, which includes both the product as well as the execution. So basically, the project owner has a scope to take different type of material at different U values, different thickness, different waterproofing guarantees. We actually probably we are the only company which offers 25 years waterproofing guarantee, and it is possible to meet and achieve much lower U values uh, compared to the prescribed U values for roof by going for Pidilite LEC systems. As for walls, we offer EIFS with in collaboration with our joint venture partners, Grupo Uma Spain, who have extensive experience in the product development, in the execution, and they have done projects, and we have lasting for more than 20 years, and with multiple facade options, beautiful architectural finishes. So we will be offering EIFS for the wall insulation. And to talk about EIFS in details, I invite my co-presenter and partner Pepe. And once again, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Pepe, please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasad. As we have seen all this information, we have decided to develop a new thermal isolation system. We are going to see why we decided to make an EIFS. Which are the main advantage of EIFS systems? Okay, first of all, the main studies of energy saving of buildings says that most of the losses of energy in buildings comes from across the walls of the building. The 40% of losses of energy goes through the walls. That's why we decided to develop a thermal isolation system for walls. This kind of systems will not be an expense, but a profitable investment. In a short time short term of time, we will recover the amount we will spend in the installation of the system by the economy in heating and refrigeration energy we will reduce thanks to the installation of the isolation system. As is a system installed outside the building, it has several advantages in renovation of existing buildings, because the installation of the system doesn't affect to the habitability of the building. So the use of the building, the normal use of the building, can continue meanwhile we are installing the system, the isolation system. And in addition, we are not losing any space inside the building. We keep all our space because all the components of the system are installed outside. Okay? As this system works as an envelope of the building, we are not only isolating the thermal, getting this thermal isolation of the building, but also we are protecting all the structure of the building, all the materials of the structure of the building, because we are protecting it from the weather agents, the wind, the rain, the change of temperature. All this doesn't arrive to the components of the building, so we are making the life of the building longer. All the components of the system and the system itself are waterproofing and are also permeable to water vapor, so they breathe the building. As there is an external isolation, we eliminate all the thermal bridges we have in non-isolated and even in buildings isolated inside, okay, because we have these thermal bridges in the slab of the building, and with our EIFS we don't have this kind of thermal isolation that can give us this kind of problems. So we avoid these problems of molds inside the building because of the thermal bridges and the difference of temperature between inside and outside of the building. And as if it's an outside installation system is installed in the facade of the building, we are not only getting this thermal isolation, but also we are renewing aesthetically the facade of the building. So we are improving the value of the building. Okay. So we have decided to do this EIFS system. We are going to see now the main characteristics and components of this traditional EIFS system. As a system, we are offering all the components to the market. Pidilite Grupo Puma not only has the mortar and the finish or the panels, but all the complements and all the necessary complements for the installation of the system. The installation is very simple. We place, first of all, the starter profile, fixing it directly to the wall. We will place the first line of panels over this profile, which marks the starting line of the system. We will fix the panels to the wall by using the special mortar, fixing all the panels to the wall. After that, we will improve this fixing of the panels by installing the trading anchors. We will make a panel sanding to uniformize, to homogenize the absorption of the panels, to improve the adherence of the coat of mortar we are going to apply now. And we will cover all the anchors with mortar. And after that, we only have to apply the coat of traditional mortar. This is a more or less 5 millimeters coat with a mesh, reinforcement mesh inside the coat of mortar. That will give us all the mechanical resistance we need in the system. And we will finish with Mortenkrill Fondo primer and Mortenkrill acrylic mortar, which gives us the aesthetical finish in addition to waterproofing and protection of the facade. This is a 5 millimeters mortar, which gives us an aesthetic finish with a wide range of colors. So the first component, the main component, is the mortar. We have 3 kinds of mortar. First mortar is Traditerm standard, is the most commonly used mortar, and we use this mortar for fixing the panels to the wall and to cover these panels with a render of 5 millimeters more or less of this mortar. This mortar is a waterproofing mortar, is a breathable mortar, is permeable to water vapor, so it leaves the building breath, and is specially formulated to fix this kind of panels, isolation panels. So adherence is very, very good. This mortar, all the components of the system follows the European standards. So we check all the quality controls in order to follow all these standards. The second one is Traditerm projectable. It has the same characteristics of Traditerm standard, but in addition, we can make the application of this mortar by using a projection machine. So we make a faster application when we reduce the time of application of the system. For big buildings, is a good option if we have the machine. And the third one is Traditerm flexible. This is a flexible version of our mortar. It's a cement-free mortar. It's ready to use, and we recommend this mortar mainly for the flexible version of Traditerm system we are going to see later. Second component is the isolation panel. That gives us the isolation, thermal isolation of the system. We have 3 different isolation panels. The first one and most commonly used one is EPS panel. Is a high density EPS panel. We have it in different thicknesses depending on the level of isolation we are looking for, and is a good solution for thermal isolation because thermal conductivity of this material is between 0.036 and 0.038. So this brings us a very good level of thermal isolation. Second one is mineral wall panel. Thermal properties of this panel are very similar to EPS panels, but in addition, this panel has properties of resistance to fire. So it's commonly used in projects where we need this special protection because the size of the building or the use we are going to do with this building ask us to improve this fire protection. And the third one is the XPS panel. This kind of panel has some advantages comparing with the others because mechanical resistance are a little bit bigger because it's a more rigid panel, and isolation level is a little bit higher than EPS or mineral wall panels. Not so much, but a little bit more. But in opposite of this, since these are very rigid panels, we cannot use them if leveling of of the substrate is perfect. It's not perfect. If we don't have a 100% leveled substrate wall, we cannot use this kind of panels because we can have tensions which develop crackings and problems in the future. The installation of these panels can only be made by the notched travel system and not by the core system because of the same. We need a perfect wall and continuous layer of adhesive. And the third component of the system is the finishing. We recommend as finished this acrylic mortar. We have different versions of acrylic mortar too. First of all is the primer. We use this primer, this Mortencryl Fondo, as a primer to homogenize the absorption of the system, of the substrate, of the mortar we have applied before. And as this is a colored primer with the same range of colors of the acrylic mortar, we reduce the amount of acrylic mortar we will need after to cover the surface. After the primer, we can use different kinds of acrylic mortar for finish. We have a standard Mortencryl standard, is the most commonly used one. Is an acrylic mortar, cement-free, is waterproofing and breathable as the other components of the system. We apply in 5 millimeters, and with this layer of 5 millimeters, we have the necessary waterproofing or rain of the building. There are a wide range of colors we are going to see, and it's easy to apply. 100% compatible with the Traditer mortar. In the lower part of the building where it's more attacked by people or traffic or so on, we can apply this second kind of mortar. Is Mortencryl Mosaico with the same characteristics of waterproofing and breathability of Mortencryl, but with more mechanical strength than the normal Mortencryl. And the third kind of acrylic mortar is Mortencryl Flexible. This is a special formulation of acrylic mortar, especially recommended for the flexible version of Traditerm system, and it has the same characteristics of Mortencryl or Mortencryl Mosaic in order of waterproofing and water vapor transpiration, but is also more flexible. So we will use in situation where this flexibility is necessary. This is the color range of Mortencryl, Mortencryl Flexible. We have a wide range of colors, and this is the range of colors of Mortencryl Mosaico. And in addition of all these main components of the system, we have all the complements necessary for the installation of the system. We have this Traditer mesh. We have talked about this mesh. Is the mesh we place inside the layer of mortar to improve the mechanical resistance. The aluminum starter profile we use to start the system, place the first line of panels. Traditerm anchors to improve the fixing of the panels to the wall. The Traditerm guttering profile with mesh, and the Traditerm PVC corner reinforcements with mesh. This kind of profiles to protect all the corners of the building and to avoid several aesthetical problems of dust in the wall. Traditer window finishing profile to use in the joints between the wall and the windows to make this kind of joints. Traditerm joint treatment profile to cover the joints, the structural joints of the building. And Traditerm crowning profile is a profile we place in the top part of the system to protect from the rainwater. So combining all these components and complements, we find different versions of Traditerm system. The first one is Traditerm EPS XPS. It's the basic one, is the most common used one. Here in this version of the system, we are using Traditerm or Traditerm projectable as a mortar for fixing the panels and for covering the panels. We are using EPS and XPS panel, EPS or XPS panels for the thermal isolation. And we finish the system with our Mortencryl Fondo and Mortencryl or Mortencryl Mosaico. The second one is Traditerm Mineral. Is the same as the Traditerm EPS XPS, but we are using mineral wall panels instead of EPS or XPS panels. Here we obtain this fire resistance we may need in several projects. The third one is Traditerm Flexible. We will use this version of Traditerm system when we expect our building is going to suffer high attacks from weather, in big changes of temperature, or we expect the structure of the building can have little movements. So we use this flexible version of the system to absorb, to avoid crackings or problems from these little movements. In this system, we use Traditerm as adhesive to fix the panels. We use only EPS panels in this kind of system, and we render the panels with Traditerm Flexible. And the finish will be done with Fondo Mortencryl and Mortencryl Flexible too. And the last one is a version of Traditerm EPS system, but with tiling as a finish. So we are going to finish the system not with acrylic mortar, but with tiles. We will use a special adhesive for this application called Traditerm Ceramic, and to improve the adherence, to avoid problems the cooling of tiles in the future, we are going to apply a double layer of Traditerm mortar before the finishing. So we have a double application of Traditerm with mesh, and after that the finish with the tile. All these systems, all these versions of systems, and all the components of the systems follows the European standards. The IOTA is the organism which controls the quality of these kinds of systems in Europe, and the ETAE is the document which certifies all the properties of the system for the thermal isolation and all the characteristics of waterproofing, breathability, and all the other characteristics. All the components are also follows the European standards for the different kind of mortar or the different kind of material we are using. In addition of these characteristics of these products and components and systems, Pidilite Grupo Puma offers several services to the Indian market to complement the system itself. We have a very trained technical team which works both in our R&D department, developing new finishes of the system and looking always for how to improve the characteristics of our thermal isolation systems. We have also a specialist in application team who give all the professionals enveloped with the installation of these kind of systems, the assistants, the work assistants, so they can explain the technician which version of the system is the most adequate for the application or for the project they are developing. Or any assistance they need in the design of the system. And we are also applicators which can help and assist the people who are going to install the system in the building about how to do it in the best way for not having any problem. As this kind of system have been applied in Europe for many years, we have a lot of projects done with our Traditan system, and we have documentation about all these projects. We have technical reports where we have all the information, technical information of the different projects made with our system, and this information can be used for the technicians who are going to use to include our system in their projects. We have also constructed the tiles and BOQs and a lot of information and documentation to help to make the technicians' work easier when they decide to install this kind of system in the building. And I wanted to show you some examples of buildings applied where they have used this kind of system. So you can see different kinds of buildings where it can be used, different finishes and different materials of isolation panels can be used in this project. And that's all. I hope it has been interesting for you. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you need any other information about this or any other product or system of PD Light Grupo Puma, you can contact us in the email you can see in your screen. Thank you very much for your attention and see you soon.